Hey y'all, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of Old School versus New School. Hey, welcome everybody coming into the building. Hey, Dragon, what's going on? Room Shaker. I am the streets. What's going on, y'all? Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different because y'all know over here I scream support. I support anybody who supports me, and I want to see us all win. You know what I'm saying? So, who better to start with than my very own co host? Y'all know that I am the new school, and Alex is the old school. And we're going to have Alex take over this whole entire episode right now because we're going to get into some things because he has his own platform. So I'm going to start with this little promo for Alex.
It's a bird. It's a plane.
It's magnetic. Repellant. Be sure to subscribe today.
What's going on, Alex?
Fire.
I told y'all he was the old school.
Yeah.
Told y'all.
What's going on?
What's up, Alex?
I'm in the house, boy. You know that promo is fire.
I'm glad that you like it.
I'm on there cutting somebody a whole new butthole on that joint.
Oh my God. Well, I was telling the people that, this is your takeover. So we're going to kind of get into who is Alex, because you're way more than just a co-host of mine, and you're more than just a co-host. You have your own platform and you are quite accomplished in your own right. So I kind of wanted to dig into the world of Alex today because, you support me and I have to actively practice what I preach in front of people. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and if
yeah.
I'm telling people you have to support others so they can support you, they have to see me supporting people. So
yeah, and you big on that. I give you credit for that. You big on that. You very steadfast in doing that, and you promote a lot of people, and you get a lot of support. So yeah, you're big on that. So I salute you for that.
Yeah, I just think it's funny how people sit around and like, man, don't nobody support me. You don't support anybody. So what do you expect?
What you put out is what you get back.
Definitely. So let's just jump right onto it. Where was the humble beginnings of Magnetic Repellent, aka Alex?
Oh man. Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, New York. That's where it started. Better known as Bed-Stuy, Do or Die. That's and I was in some of the projects over there on Troop and Myrtle Avenues. Also in Marcy, that's where Jay-Z is also from. We're in the same age group. So yeah, humble beginnings in Brooklyn, and after Bedford-Stuyvesant, I moved to Crown Heights, Brooklyn, where I spent the bulk of my childhood, and then later on to Brownsville. So yeah, all over Brooklyn. I'm a Brooklyn native, born and raised Brooklyn.
So growing up there, what were like some of your influences to bring you like to who you are today and what you have going on?
Wow, influences. Well, there's a lot of negativity, TheeEnicole. So there wasn't a whole lot of positive influences. In my neighborhoods, of course, there's a lot of crime, a lot of drunkenness, a lot of drugs, a lot of prostitution, all these different kind of things that you will find unsavory. As a kid, we think that's exciting, always something going on, the gunshots, you're always talking about, oh, did you hear such and such got stabbed? It was always just something like that going on. But I found out early on that I loved art, comic books, superheroes. That was kind of my escape, right? But I never believed that I could actually be an artist because the whole time I'm growing up, nobody ever told me you can do it. You can do whatever you want to do. I never heard those words.
Right.
And then, I think it was around 1979. I was about 12 years old, and I was severely depressed, but I didn't know what it was then. The depression wasn't talked about then. It wasn't a word that was thrown around.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew that I went from a very sociable kid to a recluse. And I didn't want to come out. Beautiful summer, the summer of 1979. I did not want to come out the house. I didn't want to see anybody. I stayed in the house. I watched cartoons, and I started drawing pictures and stuff. One of my favorite cartoons was Spider-Man, the old school Spider-Man joint from the 60s. And started watching that and was greatly influenced by that. And Marvel and DC, period. I was very influenced by those companies. And so I went down to visit my cousin, my late cousin, Barbara Ann, God rest her soul. They lived underneath us. We lived on Troy Avenue, and we lived on the third floor. They lived on the second floor. So I went down to visit her one day because we were very close. She was a lot older than me, and she had drawn some pictures where she went to the New York City Fashion Institute because she wanted to be a fashion artist, right? Mm-hmm. And she drew some pictures, and I went down and I looked at them, and I was like, "Wow!" I looked through her whole art pad. I was like, "These are beautiful." And then I said something, and her response changed my life. I said, "Wow, I wish I could do something like this."
She said, "Boys don't do that."
No, she said, "You can."
Okay.
She said, "You can do anything you want to do." I never heard that before.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Okay. So what I did was, immediately after that, I went and begged my mother for, I think, a quarter or 50 cents. Back then, a quarter 50 cents was good money back then. Right? So, I went and begged my mother for 50 cents for a comic book. And I went to the store and bought a Thor comic book. And I got a piece of paper and I set it down beside the comic book and I drew the picture. And it came out looking like Thor, the best I could for my first time, right? And I ran back to my cousin Barbara and I said, I was so excited. I'm proud of myself. I said, look, I did it. And then she said, I told you. You can do whatever you want to do if you put your mind to it. That changed my whole life.
So, like, growing up in New York, was the schools like how we see like on TV, how like it almost looked like jail?
No, not in them days. I mean, we had, you had bars and stuff on windows for safety reasons to keep the kids from falling out or jumping out the windows, stuff like that. But it wasn't for the shootings that go on now. No one was bringing bombs into school and doing those type of things. We fought in the cafeteria, we fought in the classroom or gym. We had fights in school, but it wasn't a situation where.
Oh, your sound cut out. Bear with them, guys.
Hang on. How's this? Am I back now?
Yeah, you back.
Okay, good. It wasn't a situation where people were looking to bring guns into school and shoot people and blow things up. So it wasn't that type of situation. It was more so fighting, in the cafeteria, the gymnasium and stuff like that. So they did have protective things on windows, but, for the other reasons, they didn't want kids, falling out windows and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So boom, your cousin tells you that you can do anything you want to do. You drawing out. So where do you head once you graduate high school?
From high school, I considered trade school, but never went to a trade school. I kind of just got into life, working jobs. I went to work on Wall Street in New York.
Wow.
I went to work for a company called Shears and Lehman Brothers at the time. They were one of the biggest brokerage firms in the country at that time. Mm-hmm. And I went to work for them in the maintenance department. And I was there for quite some time. But during that whole time, TheeEnicole, the more I worked for people, it always bugged me. Like, why I got to be here 8 to 10 hours a day? They got to be a bit. Huh?
I was just laughing because, yes, sir, I cannot clock in to nobody.
Right. I always felt like that. but I knew, of course, you want the money, you got to work or whatever. This is before I had children and things like that. So it was just me, but I was like, I don't like how this feel,
Right.
And then it's like, okay, they're not paying you what you think you're worth or what you should get. They don't treat you well. They talk to you any old kind of way. It just, I didn't like that feeling. So I started to just dig more and more into myself, find out what my gifts were.
That's what my next question was going to be, because you started drawing and that was your passion, and then you got a job because of course you need money, pay bills and things like that. So what really ultimately pushed you out there to go for your dreams?
Um, I started drawing comic books when I was in the 7th grade.
Mm.
Um, I was drawing homemade comic books, and I would get like, some long letter paper, you know, and I would fold them and draw the comic books and make the cubes and draw everything in there. And I would take it to my teacher. I never forget, her name was Miss Stein, right? My 7th grade creative writing teacher. And I would take them to Miss Stein, and she was so encouraging. That's why I tell people, teachers are important. Teachers are very, very important. Very important, right? So I took them to Miss Stein, and she would grade it. And she would look at it and go, this is fantastic. And this and that, a little 7th grade, boy drawing, whatever. It could have sucked for all I knew, but she was very encouraging about it. So then I couldn't wait to get back home, the next night and draw another comic book, for Miss Stein. I felt like she was looking forward to it, you know.
Right.
So I would go back again, and she just very, very encouraging. So because of that, because of those little things, I never stopped. I never stopped pursuing my dreams and goals, even though life was like kicking my ass a lot of times, kicking my mama's ass, my uncles, my brothers, we was getting our asses handed to us. So, it kind of put your dreams on hold a lot of times because you're dealing with life and circumstances.
Yeah,
Um,
speaking of dealing with life and circumstances, I want to pause you real quick and go back a little bit, because you said that you was dealing with depression and you really didn't realize it.
right.
So, like, did that go away once you started drawing, or was the other things that you had to work through to get past that?
Yeah, there were a lot of things I had to work through with that depression because, again, like I said, we didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. Depression wasn't talked about. Looking back on it now, I know it was depression. Because I just didn't want to come out the house. I didn't want to face anybody. One of the main reasons too, other than the fact that I just didn't have any confidence, girls didn't treat me well. Girls didn't like me. A lot of my friends, were getting girlfriends and stuff like that. And they just didn't like me. It's like no matter what I did, they didn't like me. They didn't treat me well. They didn't say nice things. And although I fought a lot in the streets, men, women, and children, whatever, I didn't care who I fought. It wasn't
Wait a
solving it.
minute, you was fighting the women and the children.
I was fighting everybody. Well, I was a kid myself,
Oh,
still.
okay.
I was a kid myself, but I still fought girls. Sometimes I would fight grown men, and cuss out some of the women in the neighborhood. But for the most part, we had respect for our elders, but you had some of these.
So you was a badass kid.
I was a badass kid, you know, because I was angry behind a lot of things. I was angry because my father wasn't there. Okay. I was
Okay.
angry because I was a product of welfare. Okay. I was angry because I had to wear my brother's hand-me-downs. Angry because we lived with rats and roaches. I mean, it was just a lot of stuff that I was angry about, and so I would kind of take that into the street, and the first person that bothered me would kind of get an ass whooping. And I didn't care if it was a guy or a girl. Because,
Right.
Don't let nobody fool you, TheeEnicole. The girls in these inner cities, these are tough girls. Okay. And if they catch you slipping, these girls will whip your ass. You know what I mean? So it
Yes, they
wasn't,
would.
yeah, it wasn't
Yes,
like,
they would.
yeah, you said yes, you said yes, we would. Yeah, you know about that because they could not catch you slipping, and they would not stop until you whipped their ass. This is what I grew up in. I ain't saying it's right or wrong or whatever, but it's what I grew up in. You know what I
Right.
mean? So But I had a lot of things to take the anger out on, but it wasn't solving the problem. And I think that's why I got depressed, because with all this fury and all the people that I beat up and cussed out and kicked and spat on and all these different kind of things, I was still depressed. I
So
was
the
still
drawing was
down.
kind of like a release and a window out.
It was escapism. It was escapism. If I could pretend I was Spider-Man, I could escape. You know what I mean? Because we had no money to travel. We couldn't go anywhere. You know, we couldn't take trips. We didn't have a car. We couldn't take a car ride. We couldn't get out the damn neighborhood. I mean, we could catch a bus and go, across town to see my grandmother and my cousin, whatever. But for the most part, we couldn't even get out of our environment. So your mind is your only escapism. You have to go deep into your mind and find an escape.
Hey E, what's going on? So you started working at Wall Street. You really didn't like that environment of working for somebody. So what was the turning point that you left there, or did you?
No, I was fired. Um,
Well, Dale, do you want to tell us about your firing story?
well, I was fired because I was irresponsible, for one. I was young, I was immature, I was irresponsible. And when I came into my own, when I was a lot younger, of course, like I said, girls mistreated me and so forth. But as I started to get older and blossom and come into my own, girls started to gravitate toward me, right? So I started to get my share of girlfriends. And in this instance, when I was working at Shears and Lehman Brothers, I was kind of sleeping with 3 women a day. Okay.
Oh, God.
And because that was another escape for me, right? So I was doing this and I was exhausted, but I wanted to sleep with 3 women a day, So the boss of my supervisor came in, the manager came in one day, and he said,
Did you say that?
he said, listen, you've been coming in here late a lot. I don't know why. And in New York, we can always blame the subway system, right? Well, the trains are late, they're too crowded. That was my excuse, right? Knowing I was lying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he said, you coming in here late every day. If you come in here tomorrow, you're fired, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went home, slept with 3 girls.
And you came late and got fired.
He was TheeEnicole. He was sitting there waiting when I came in. Right? He knew I was going to be. He knew I was going to be late. Right?
So he wanted to fire you.
He wanted to fire me. So when I walked in, he was sitting there and he said, "Why are you late?" I said, "Man, the train's you're fired."
Okay, so boom, you fired.
Right.
What like age range were you when this happened?
Early 20s.
Okay,
Yeah.
so from there, did you decide to try it on your own at that point?
No, went back into the job market because, like I said, it was very difficult. My mom had 3 children back to back from a no good man. And after the 3rd child, she had a stroke. Okay.
Oh, no.
Massive stroke. My mother was 42 when she had a massive stroke. Okay. Because these 3 children took her blood pressure. It took her blood pressure up so high.
Mm-hmm.
It took her blood pressure up so high that it caused her to have a stroke. Right. Mm-hmm. So we ended up as young, very young men, me and my 2 brothers at the time, taking care of these kids and my mother.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of like when you're dealing with stuff like that, TheeEnicole, it kind of derails your dreams because real life is kicking your ass.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that went on for a long time, and as things started to get better, I would write a screenplay here or there. I would because doing the comic books really got kind of tedious, drawing the characters and stuff. Drawing those characters kind of got real tedious, and I still have them to this day. These drawings, I still have them.
I want to see them.
Yeah, I'll let you see them. I was a teenager. when I drew most of this stuff. But even though the drawing got tedious, the writing kind of stuck with me and became my love, and that turned into screenplay writing because I was seeing some movies and I was like, "Well, this suck. I can do better than this."
We love
And
you
that
back.
kind of what was that?
I was telling on the spot we love her back.
Oh yeah, hey, on the spot. Thanks for tuning in. So, but I saw some movies that sucked, and I was like, listen, I could do better than this. So, and that kind of inspired me to start writing screenplays. And
So
then I
from
started,
your comics, you expanded further to movies.
yes, yes,
Cool.
yep. And of course, screenplays are a lot longer than a comic book. A comic book is like 25, 24 pages. A screenplay is actually 90 to 120 pages.
And it's definitely more in depth. You got to go through a whole storyline for a movie as opposed to, I mean, not to say that comic books don't have storylines because they are very heavy.
Yes.
But to actually be in control of the actors, you know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Hey, Brian.
Exactly. So as it evolved in the screenplay writing, I started to learn more about the industry. I started buying books. I started going to networking events and meeting people, learning more about the business, shopping screenplays. That at that time you had to shop the entire screenplay. You had to print it out, bind it, okay, put it in a self-addressed envelope with another stamped envelope in case they didn't like it. They would mail it back to you. Okay, that's how the industry was at that time, and I'm talking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm talking early 90s.
So they were sending it back like, yeah, we ain't fucking with it.
Yeah, if they didn't like it, they would send it back. And if you did not send an additional stamped envelope with the script, they would just trash it. And worst case scenario is if they did like it and didn't want to fuck with you, they would just steal your idea and dare you to sue them because they knew you couldn't afford to sue them because they got the big Hollywood machine behind them and they know you can't afford to sue them.
Oh, wow. So they just was out here like, yeah, send it to us and we'll see if we work with you. But we might just take it and use it anyway.
Yeah. Serious gangsters in that regard, So, and that's happened to me a couple of times. As I've navigated through this industry, I've had, ideas stolen. Not going to say what they were. Not going to say who I believe stole them. But it's happened a couple of times because, when you're hungry and you're passionate and you want to make it in the business, you shop stuff, you present stuff to people, you do these different kind of things, you expose your art, to these people, and they're not talented, they have no gifts at all. Okay. So they take your gifts and pretend like it's theirs.
I know what that feels like.
Right. So after you do that enough, you start to figure out, listen, I got to figure a way out to do this shit myself. I can't keep depending on these people because these people are just crooked. It's not it's called show business, but it should be called business show. Because if you don't take care of your business, you'll never have shit to show.
Well, so, damn, you hear that? Y'all hear them jills from that OG? Wait, say it again. Tell him again. Say it again.
I said it's called show business, but it should be called business show. Because if you don't take care of your business, you ain't gonna have shit to show.
Damn. You gotta say that for me on my EP. I wasn't ready for that, Alex.
Yeah, TheeEnicole, you talk about the school of hard knocks. I've taken so many lumps in this business. It's ridiculous. So I implore anybody.
Hard business to be in. Like if you, I feel like your upbringing kind of built you for it. You know what I mean? Because when you come from a life like mine, which they try to paint, roses and lollipops, and you get out here and you in this business, you don't really even believe that it's real. So it's like this business is very crazy. The entertainment group business is crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I implore anybody trying to get into entertainment business or any business, for that matter, really learn about business. Get some
Yeah,
books, do some research, take the time to learn about the business, because if you don't, you're going to take a lot of lumps. You're going to take a lot of heartaches. You're going to get robbed a lot. They're going to steal from you. All these things because you don't know. And it's just not a lot of nice people out there that's willing to help you just out of the goodness of your heart. They're just very few of those kind of people exist today, because money and greed take such precedence.
yeah,
And in an industry like that, where everybody want to be famous or get next to the big guy or the big woman that can make decisions or whatever, everybody's shiesty.
and
You know what
then
I
when
mean?
you're not shiesty, they still handle us crazily because they're not used to people being genuine.
No, you have to really, and I'm not saying there's no genuine people there, but to find them, you got to dig and dig and dig to find a genuine person that's really genuine and haven't been tainted by the industry. Because once the industry get hold of you, even if you're a genuine person, if you don't have your head right, you can become easily tainted.
Yeah,
Easily.
yeah, it's hard. It's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, so you started doing the screenwriting and everything like that. So let's transition to a little closer to now. What
Mm-hmm.
made you decide to jump on YouTube?
Wow. Well, at this point, I've
Hey,
done
sweet
some.
babe.
Yeah, at this point, I want to thank everybody coming into the room, coming into the chat. Hey,
Yeah.
everybody, thanks for supporting. Um, at this point, I had done films, short films, television series. I've had accomplishments up to this point, right?
Hmm.
So I had a little bit of a name behind me. I was comfortable speaking to people because I've done that at my film screenings and stuff like that. Like you
Hmm.
said, my entire upbringing kind of built me for this thing.
Hmm.
It kind of gave me thick skin, because you also have to have thick skin when you're an artist, because people will destroy you with your
Everybody
art.
ain't gonna like your shit.
No, they, would, they would destroy you. Quick story about I did a series called Seven Cities. An original series back in '09, 2010, when around the time I first moved to Virginia.
Hmm.
And in fact, it was the first series on Cox Communications primetime television, the very first. Okay. And
Hmm.
we were very proud of that. Okay. And we was on prime time every Sunday night. I think we came on at 8 or 9 p.m. every Sunday night. It was so exciting, right? Very
Hmm.
exciting time, right? They would
That's
show our
dope.
commercials. They would show our commercials all week, about the upcoming episode, and people would tune in Sunday night, and then you see them the next day talking about it. Facebook was still new, and they talking about it on Facebook and stuff like that. Instagram wasn't even around yet, you
Hmm.
know. So
Cause you old, yeah.
yeah, I'm not that old, but old enough. So people would see you out, even though I was behind the scenes as a writer, producer, I was doing interviews and we was in newspapers and stuff. And people would see you out, oh my God, Alice Leath. And you'd be like, you looking around like, you talking to me? Like, but people start to recognize you and things like that. And, you're in the newspaper, and, it's just, it's very surreal, very
Mm.
surreal, to go through that experience. So right up from that experience, right up until, I did my feature film cycle, affairs of state, just a lot of things have happened. So it prepped me, for this moment. And I decided to get into the podcasting world, where I wasn't thinking about that. And then actually Aubrey was a Facebook friend. And she had been a Facebook friend for years of me and my second wife, and we just would know each other on Facebook. So the one day she said to me, I want to start a podcast, inbox me if you got any insight on doing that. On creating an avatar and doing this stuff, and I didn't really have any interest in doing it, but I said I'll help you because like you always talk about support, right? That's what I'm about. Okay, so I said I'll support you, help you out. So kind of got her channel started, and then she wanted me to do some podcasts with her. We started doing some podcasts together. Then I kind of caught the bug from there. And once I started doing her podcast, I started getting noticed by other people. They wanted me to come on their podcast and speak and do guest appearances that way. So I started just traveling these YouTube streets, which is how you and I met, right?
Correct.
And so that's how that happens. Networking, doing good work. People recognize the fact that you're doing good work and they want to work with you. And if you have synergy and good chemistry, it'll work out. And then sometimes it doesn't work out. And it's not an indictment on the person that you worked with. You just didn't work out. So there's no need to go around hating anybody. The fact that it didn't work out, we didn't have chemistry for whatever the reason.
Everybody's not for everybody. And that's
right. Okay. And that's okay. Exactly. So, but we can all still, root for one another and support one another in different ways and so forth. So,
hey, Joe, so cool.
But that's kind of how that happened. And it kind of pushed me into starting my own channel.
So speaking of your own channel, what can people expect over on Magnetic Repellent? And also, what made you name it that?
Yeah, good question. Magnetic Repellent came from, most of my life, I've been a very misunderstood youth, very misunderstood teenager, very misunderstood adult. And that's because I learned as I lived through this society that truth, real hard truth, is the enemy. Okay? People love to live with lies because it feels good. Okay? Lies feel good. But if you don't tell the truth, you have to have a good memory. Okay? If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Okay?
Yeah, I ain't got time to be remembering that shit.
Right. If you lie a lot, you gotta remember those lies. Okay. So, but I'm talking about the real hard truths about life that most people can't face. They can't face their demons, the secrets in the family that people don't talk about. People been touched and abused in family situations or at school, and the truth about our history. Black people, the truth about our history that was hidden and taken away from us by, our white counterparts. You start learning the real history, okay? And as you start to learn those things, it's like somebody got to say something. And I've always been followers of I always loved the Nation of Islam. Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, those kind of things, because I see them as real truth tellers. Mm-hmm. Okay. And their message was not well received for obvious reasons. So the reason I call myself Magnetic Repellent is because I know the things I'm saying is going to attract you to me, but eventually they'll touch a nerve and you'll try to run from what I'm saying because you can't deal with the cold, hard truth. If I'm stroking your ego, even if it's a lie, you can listen to that all day.
Yeah, everybody love a yes man.
Yeah, but as soon as I start getting into you about, how you treated your mama, how you treated your wife, you're not a real father to your kids. You a bad mother. You was out there selling your behind. And when I start getting into all that, now I'm repellent. Now they're angry at me. Okay, so that's why I chose the name Magnetic Repellent.
So what are some things that they can look forward to hearing besides that they was a bad parent and that they was selling their ass? What can they look forward to when they come over to Magnetic Repellent?
Is that all you heard, TheeEnicole? Bad parents and selling ass?
I'm crazy. I'm crazy. I was just like, damn, that's what they were doing.
But don't want to be called on it. Don't you call them on it. You know, now,
But no,
you
like,
know that.
what can we look forward to seeing from you solo dolo? Because we rock with you with us, and
Mhm.
some people rock with you on other platforms and things like that. But what can we expect from you solo dolo?
A lot of political commentary about our government, people that run it, the traps that have been set for us, specifically the traps set for our people, for Black people in general,
Mm-hmm.
relationships, the things people don't understand or even don't want to get into involving relationships and people, um, different things. I got a video over there that says why it's easier to beat a murder charge than a traffic ticket. Right? It's one of my videos on my channel, so go check it out. You'll
Mm-hmm.
find
I
it
see
very
it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and these are the kind of things I talk about. I talk about why is it if the government or the state builds the bridges with our tax dollars, why do we have to pay to cross them? If
Right.
if if my money built the damn thing, what are you paying? What are you charging me to cross it for?
Right.
Because the same way my tax dollars built it, my tax dollars is maintaining the bridge. So why I got to pay to cross it?
Right.
That means somebody taking money, stealing money, putting it in their pocket in government, in politics. That's why I don't particularly like politics. I don't go for the Republican, Democrat, conservative. I don't go for none of that crap. It's a bunch of crap to me. You know
Right.
what I mean? People are people. And at the end of the day, no matter what profession you are in, if you're not a good person, you're going to steal, you're going to betray, you're going to deceive because you're just not a good person. It doesn't matter the
Right.
profession. So those kind of things you will find on my channel. I deal with mental illness because I was depressed for so long. You
Uh-huh.
know, at times, TheeEnicole, honestly, I still battle it at
Mm-hmm.
times.
Well, I think that's dope because it's not a lot of accomplished Black men that hit heavy subjects like that. And I feel like, um, yes, us as women, we are very powerful and we can reach people and put out a message, but it's something different about a strong Black man who's able to tell his truth and touch people. So I think that's really dope.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of it anymore. There was a time when I was afraid to.
What's going on, YNFL?
Yeah, hey, what's up, YNFL? Um, I was afraid to discuss it because you're ashamed, right?
Right,
You think you're the only one. No one feels this. No one's hurting like you. So you're ashamed to open your mouth. But when you come to
right,
find out that there are many, many, many people dealing with this, then you have to find your voice. Because the strongest of the strong, they're the ones that people are going to lean on. The weaker ones are going to lean on for healing. Because otherwise, they're going to harm themselves. They're going to take themselves off the planet, take other people with them if they're not healed.
right.
And that's why I have on my channel right now, again, Magnetic Repellent. Go to my channel, subscribe. There's a video there called The Mental Illness Phenomenon. And it's my take on a lot of how certain mental illnesses are formed way back the early 1980s when crack hit. Because crack hit Brooklyn hard.
Right.
Okay. So it was not pretty. It was not pretty throughout the 80s with the crack era. Okay.
Right.
But you had people in that time, okay, women using crack, men using crack. They having sex and creating babies with crack eggs and crack sperm. Okay. So the baby coming to the world cracked out.
Right.
Then this child grows up without the mental capacity to understand real right from wrong and end up hurting people, and they don't even know why. They came in the world at a disadvantage.
Right.
They came in the world at a disadvantage. And so because that happened, they end up in jail or, deceased themselves, shot down by police or whatever the case is. So my channel deals with a lot of serious issues. Yes, I have some fun over there as well. I got a lot of shorts over there that may make you laugh and have fun with. But I prefer to deal with lot more serious things that um, affect our lives, whether it's family, relationships, government, etc.
Yeah. So I wanted to dedicate today's show to you because, my main thing again is support. Like, we have to start supporting each other. And I have some awesome panelists that work with me on my channel. And if I'm not supporting you guys, how can I dare tell other people to support? So, that's one reason why I wanted to dedicate today's show to you. Also, a lot of people do say they don't have somebody to look up to, or they don't have somebody where they can get guidance, or they don't have many men that they can tune into and get insight like that. So I want them to know that they can find that over there on your channel, um, apart from me. And you can see us collectively over here. Like, we have to start supporting each other. Like, we can get to our goals much faster if we hand in hand work with each other. We may not get along every day. We may not agree on everything, but we can still work together and communicate with each other and support each other.
And Lord knows we won't get along every day. And a lot of times, arguments and things like that, when you're passionate, those are wonderful disagreements. We can agree to disagree, but we can learn from one another.
Right.
We don't have to agree. I've had drag out brawls. Some of my best friends today, TheeEnicole, I kid you not. Some of my best friends, brothers from another mother today, these guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had drag out brawls within the street.
Yeah.
But today we're like brothers. I would never fight those guys today. I wouldn't lay a hand on them today other than to hug them, because they've meant so much to my life.
Yeah.
So we can agree to disagree and still love each other, because I've lived that.
Yeah. So that's Alex, y'all, the old school to my new school. Make sure that y'all go support over there. His link is definitely in the description, as it is every Monday. Alex, I just want to thank you for letting me pick into your world a little bit for the people.
I thank you for it. And I want to know who's the sexy lady on my promo going, "It's a bird.
Oh my
It's
God.
a plane." Who's that sexy lady talking? You never did tell me who that lady was.
That is what they call that?
What? What's that? Who they call it? Who that?
That is proprietary information.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
However, y'all can hit up E-Sessions if y'all need any media needs taken care of. We got you over there. But no, in all seriousness though, like, I appreciate it because, there are some YouTube people who put on a front, but then they act so inaccessible. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm glad, with all your accomplishments and all the benchmarks you have made and trailblazing in your own right, I'm glad that you're still like a down to earth person and people could talk to you.
Yeah, and I want to add this, TheeEnicole.
Hey, MJB.
I want to add this before we go, for sure. I don't want to forget this. Mm-hmm. I've gotten a lot of help along the way. Mm-hmm. I spoke about negative influences and so forth, but as I've gotten older and started to migrate, through life and through this business, people have helped me for a season, and I've never seen them again.
Right.
Never seen them again. Okay, they push me along to the next level, and they leave.
Right.
And I don't find it offensive. They came into my life for a season. Right. That's what they were for. It wasn't meant for me to hang on to them.
Right.
But I want to shout them out, because without them, I would not be here. I may not even be alive.
Right.
So they came into my life, a lot of them people, at the perfect time. I forget names. I remember faces. I forget names sometimes, but it was a lot of them along the way. So I'm not what they will call a self-made man. That's egotistical bullshit. I had a lot of help along the way, and I want to thank those people, for helping me, pushing me along the way.
That's why you should be careful about how you treat people, because you never know what they in your life for. Like, even if you don't get along with somebody, they might be in your life to teach you a lesson, to make you a better person. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. I was on the train years ago in New York. Quick story. I know I keep saying that, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm on the train, riding the train. And in New York, the trains get very crowded during rush hour in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of homeless people come through there on the trains in the morning begging for change and so forth. And a lot of these people are war veterans. I have an issue with that, because war veterans should not be on the trains begging. That's another story. Okay. But they come through the trains begging. They don't smell good. They bumping into you and stuff like that. So me and one of my best friends on the train going to work, homeless guy come through. He's holding on to the straps, the rail straps, and his elbow was hitting my dude, in the head somewhat. And my dude, like, if this mofo hit me one more time, right? But he was laughing at the guy. And
Mm-hmm.
there was another guy across looking at me because he knew we were together. And he knew that guy was crazy. The homeless guy was kind of crazy. So he came over to me. He said, is that your friend? I said, yeah, that's my friend. He said, is he laughing at that guy? I said, yeah, I guess he is. He said, well, you tell your friend it don't take much. And he walked away. And to this day, Nicole, I never forgot that comment.
Mm-hmm.
Never. What he was saying to me was, the mind is so fragile, it don't take much for it to snap.
Right.
And that could be any of us on that train begging. There, but for the grace of God, there go I.
Right.
So these kind of things are what I'm telling you. And that happened to me a lot, Nicole, in my life. And I carry those things. Don't know who these people are. Don't know where they are. But I carried those lessons and got through life with that.
Right. Yeah, that's deep. But I know you gotta get going because you got big things popping and little things stopping. So I don't want to get in the way. But there are some good content creators in the chat as well. Easy came through. Room Shakers in here. On the Spot is in here. Um, and if I missed you, charge it to my head and not my heart, because y'all know what I stand on over here, which is support. We got to start supporting each other. Even if you don't like somebody's content, it doesn't matter. You can always hit that like and hit that share, and keep it moving. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't have time to watch everybody, but when I can stop through and at least leave a comment, leave a like, and share, that's still support. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We got to start getting out of this mindset of just being so selfish. And if I can be one to show people how to do that, I will be here to do that. So make
Yeah.
sure that you guys go subscribe to Magnetic Repellent. Again, his link is in the description. I'll be back at 9 o'clock because we're watching Real Housewives of Atlanta on Watchy Watch. And later on tonight, for a late night little Ratchet Fest for the people that like Ratchet, I got a surprise for y'all. I have a surprise for y'all. So stay tuned. But Alex, again, I thank you, and I really appreciate you being my co-host, because without you, there would be no old school versus new school.
And I thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate your gifts. Keep doing your thing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So we will see you guys next week, Monday, 7 o'clock, same place, same time, for another edition of Old School versus New School.
Peace.